Stop it. Stop the recording, please. Hey everybody! Welcome back to the CCTV with your host, CC, Colt Carter, 23. And today, due to a suggestion from the homeboy Bryce, he suggested that I do a tier system as opposed to a ranking system. And immediately the first thing that popped into my head was Money in the Bank cash-ins. It's an iconic match, iconic moment in WWE history. Quick backstory of the Money in the Bank match. To my knowledge, it was Chris Jericho that came up with the match concept to get like 6 or 7 guys and have them in a ladder match, and the winner gets a shot at a world championship. Some typical dudes that wouldn't normally get one, and the only clause that Vince had to throw his hat in, he said, "God damn it, has to be in a briefcase." So we've got our Money in the Bank briefcase. First Money in the Bank ladder match happened in 2005 at WrestleMania 21 in Los Angeles, California. But I'm going to try to keep this video under 20 minutes. We'll see what happens with that. So without further ado, we'll start with our F tier. And these are easy. They're failed cash-ins. You've got John Cena from 2012 when he failed to cash in against CM Punk, I believe. Wasn't really watching WWE in 2012, so just going by the internet. And then we've got Corbin in 2017, Baron Corbin, when he was the Lone Wolf. This John Cena is the one that cost him the shot against Jinder Mahal. I saw that on SmackDown Live. Definitely was watching at that point. Funny, Baron Corbin, always a great heel. We're not going to get into the F's too much. I'm going to ramble on. And we got Damien Sandow in 2013, who was the first... No. Yeah. Cena was the first failed cash-in. So, second failed cash-in against Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship. 2018, Strowman, Braun, as it were, failed to cash in against... I think it was Roman Reigns, because Brock Lesnar came in during a Hell in a Cell match and it was a no contest. So definitely a fail there. And the only successful quote-unquote cash-in I have on the F tier is when Asuka turned in her briefcase after Becky announced that she was pregnant after WrestleMania 36 and was just awarded the Raw Women's Championship. So that was all of our failed and poor cash-ins as I see it. So now we go to the D. We've got Kane in 2010. I'm not a big fan of same-day cash-ins. You win the briefcase, and then I think that was the shortest time someone held a briefcase. I think it was like 56 minutes or something. Cashed in on Rey Mysterio, won the World Heavyweight Championship back in 2010. CM Punk in 2009 when he cashed in on, I believe, Jeff Hardy. He got a pretty good reaction as a heel. He got a big boos. I'm not a big fan of CM Punk, so putting him down there with Jack Swagger from 2010 as well. He won that briefcase at WrestleMania 26, cashed in on Chris Jericho. I think that was his only World Championship reign, and he hadn't done anything else in the company. And we've got Del Rio in 2011 cashing in on CM Punk at SummerSlam. Without that, I think Punk would have had like a 500-day reign. That was right before he went stupid with the 434-day WWE Championship reign. And then we've also got Lesnar cashing in on Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules 2019. And with the premise that Jericho originally thought of, dudes that you wouldn't expect to get a championship match. When Lesnar won it, he didn't need it for sure, definitely. And to cash in that way, it was heat, but, Lesnar is his own beast. Not really a heel or a baby. Just kind of is. There's one Brock Lesnar. That's it. So that'll do for our D's. Moving on to the C's. We've got the first CM Punk cash in 2008. Cashed in, I believe, Edge. He got a nice little popski. So I figured I'd throw it into the C's. And then in 2015, good old Sheamus cashed in on Roman Reigns at Survivor Series and beat him in 5 minutes 15 seconds. You remember, because he had that super popular, sold out everywhere, Sheamus 515 shirt. Definitely more popular than the Austin 316 shirt, for sure. And then also in the C's, you've got Nikki ASH when she cashed in on Charlotte in 2021, I believe. Didn't really go anywhere. Good, always happy for her getting her moment in the sun. But I think she lost the championship like maybe a month later, if not less. And then that'll do for C's. Only a few C's. And the B ranking, we've got Alexa Bliss in 2018 when she cashed in and beat Nia Jax for the title. I think that was a same day cash in, but it was cool because of how they got out of Ronda Rousey, because she wasn't. I don't know if she was ready for the title or not. I'm not in WWE management, clearly. But it was a good way to make her to protect Ronda Rousey. So the match ended a DQ, and then Bliss cashed in on Nia Jax, beat her, won the title to set up Rousey and Bliss at SummerSlam, which Rousey won that one. And the first women's cash in, Carmella in 2018 on Charlotte. That was a pretty good moment. I don't remember where that was, but I remember the week after, I think she had like a championship celebration in England. That was pretty funny. And then we've got Dino Ambrose cashing in same day. This was the day that all three members of the Shield held the WWE Championship in the same night. Roman had it going in. Seth beat him for it in his comeback, and then Dino cashed in and beat Seth. I still remember the scene of Dino just shoving the briefcase into the ref's chest and saying, "I'm cashing this fucker in, and I'm winning the title tonight." So that was a good moment for Dean Ambrose. Definitely a good moment. And this is probably might shock a couple people, but Randy Orton cashing in when I mentioned dudes that don't need the briefcase to get the championship opportunity. I think this was Randy Orton's like 10th WWE championship. So, but it was a great moment. I watched it, and it was building. It was right after Daniel Bryan beat John Cena in the main event of SummerSlam to win the WWE Championship. And it was just a great heat segment because that built up to the eventual Yes movement and Yeselmania. So that was just another way of building sympathy for Daniel Bryan. So you think he's got it, boom, he gets taken away. So great booking there by WWE. Funny little Triple H segment. He hands the ref the briefcase and he goes to the was he a bell ringer? The dude with the bell. And he says, "Ring the bell, ring it." It's funny. You gotta check it out. And then to end our B segment, we've got Daniel Bryan 2011 pinning the Big Show after a grueling, I think it was a chairs match between Big Show and Mark Henry at the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view. But it was great. You got two colossal giants going against each other, and then little Daniel Bryan comes in and runs away with the World Heavyweight Championship. So that was a great moment. So now we've got the A's, the very best, the A group, which is what you always want to be when boarding with Southwest. So if you can get that, you go A's. So I'm going to go with Big E in 2021. I believe he announced on Twitter, he says, "Hey, Bobby Lashley, I'm coming for the WWE Championship. I'm going to catch this fucker in tonight." And he did. And he won that motherfucker that night. Great moment for Big E, from what I can tell on TV, and I listened to the New Days podcast. Good dude. Big Seinfeld fan. I'm a big Seinfeld fan. Now that I watched all of it on Netflix. But we're not talking about Seinfeld. We're talking about Money in the Bank briefcase and the monumental cash-ins that ensued due to this wonderful idea from Chris Jericho. And then we're going to go to Rob Van Dam in 2006, cashing in the second ever Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, he didn't cash it in as the way the Edge did, the slimy, cheap, underhanded way after a champion has been beaten, battered, and bloodied. He said, "Hey, John Cena, ECW is going to have a pay-per-view on June 11th in 2006 at the Hammerstein Ballroom." He said, "I want to cash in my Money in the Bank privilege that night." And what ensued was one of the most raucous, rabid, unhinged crowds in sports entertainment history. The big, iconic, "If Cena wins, we riot" in the stands at the Hammerstein Ballroom. The chants of "Fuck you, Cena." Chants of "Cena swallows." Cena throws his Hustle, Loyalty, Respect shirt into the crowd, and they throw it back. So he walks over to here, and he throws it, and they throw it back. And then he goes over here, and he throws it, and a security guard gets it, and the security guard throws it back, and he says, "Fuck you, Cena." Fucking-conic. Now, unfortunately, a month later, RVD would get caught with some marijuana, have to drop the championship to Edge, and I mean, that was RVD's pinnacle right there. Boom, that moment. Maybe it would have never happened if not for Money in the Bank and WrestleMania 22. And then, also in the A group, we've got Dolph Ziggler in 2013 cashing in his Money in the Bank privilege on Alberto Del Rio to a huge ovation in East Rutherford, New Jersey at the Prudential Center. Massive, massive moment. Huge pop for Ziggy. Definitely catapulted his career. Great, great moment in Raw history. And then we've got, dubbed the Heist of the Century by Michael Cole, 2015 WrestleMania 31. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns have a knockdown, drag-out fight in Levi Stadium, Santa Clara. And I loved the match. People hated Roman Reigns. People didn't care for Brock Lesnar because he was part-timer. They shit on the match. And then Seth comes down, cashes in, stomps Roman's head through the canvas, and then pins him 1, 2, 3 to be the first ever Money in the Bank contract cash-in at the Showcase of the Immortals at, what is it called? They just said it on Raw. Showcase of the Immortals and the Biggest event in entertainment. I'm hitting a fucking wall. But that was it. Seth held the title until his knee couldn't handle it anymore and went snip snap. And he tore his ACL. But hell of a moment for Seth freaking Rollins. And then to finish off the A's, you've got the OG, the original Edge in 2006, cashing in on an extremely vulnerable John Cena after he went through 5 other Hall of Fame competitors in the Elimination Chamber. You're talking Kurt Angle. You're talking Kane. You're talking the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. And you're talking Carlito Caribbean Cool and Chris the Masterpiece Masters. Beaten, battered, bloodied. Vince comes out, he says, "This night is not over. Raise the cage." So they raise the cage and he says, "This man is cashing in his Money in the Bank privilege." Edge comes out. He spears Cena once. Cena says, "Aha!" He kicks out. Edge says, "What the fuck?" Set them up. Spears Cena again. Pins him 1, 2, 3. Albany, New York. John Cena loses. The first ever Money in the Bank cash in to Edge. Edge is your WWE champion. And the next night he has a live sex celebration with Lita, which was crazy. Now you're thinking to yourself, wait a second. There are 2 cash-ins that you haven't mentioned. And that's because, that's right, the A+ in his category of his own, you've got Miz cashing in the Money in the Bank contract in 2010, November 22nd in Orlando, Florida, against Randy Orton to become WWE champion for the first time. Which would lead to The Miz not only beating John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania by himself, but he would be named the #1 wrestler in the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 500 of 2011. And then 10+ years later, The Miz does it again. He cashes in on a vulnerable Drew McIntyre at Elimination Chamber in 2021. And he hits him with a Skull Crusher finale to become the first ever 2-time Grand Slam champion in the history of this company. To cement himself as the greatest superstar in the history of forever. Better than Stone Cold, better than Hulk Hogan, better than The Rock, better than John Cena. You're goddamn right. So that brings it to a close. Money in the Bank cash in. Fantastic. Fantastic idea. Chris Jericho, thank you for that. And you know my feelings on them. What do you think is the greatest cash-in of all time? What do you think is the worst? Do you agree with my tier rankings or do you not? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for joining me. This episode is brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel. When you're feeling down, pick it up with Rain. Good night, everybody.
Strong move. What shoes are them there, Shmuka? Oh, he's got the little drip drop.
Little drip drop.
5s. What shoes are those?
4s.
Ooh. Thank you. Bryce. How about that?
Bucket, boy.
Sick.
Nice. Only down 13.
We can come back.
For sure. Oh, good.
Shit.
Nice.
Good job, Charlie.
Patience, young grasshopper.
Good job, Shiesty.
I knew he was going to the corner, but I also knew that fucking Birdman 2.0 was gunning for my dome. Oh, Schmook almost had that one. Good rip.
Definitely grab the right build after this one.
Charge.
What? Did you? He didn't have the ball. Did he? Didn't Randy have the ball? They're just calling charges on anybody. It doesn't matter. You got the ball? No. Fuck it. Charge.
Charge.
Charge. What are you?
You
Bank?
on defense? Yeah, charge on
Charge. Timeout. Just charge. Wow.
I think I can hit those consistently with a 6'5". I grab them.
Bruce. I choose you.
I choose Shice, dude.